All right, friends, so we're going to talk about the rage that nobody talks about. You get irritable, emotionally overwhelmed, hormonal anger sets in, and sometimes you just mount Vesuvius over anything in your path. I have had two major episodes that I know come to mind. One left me literally in this room, in the corner, when we were painting it, crying my eyes out. And another one left a hole in my wall. And I am not happy about those, but they are reminders that I know I can get too much and I need to try to recognize when it gets to be too much. So I can take a moment, I can step away, I can go in my bedroom and cry. I can do something that's not going to inflict pain, hurt, not physical pain, but like emotional pain or anxiety or anything on my family. So let's explore some of the emotional regulation and compassion instead of shame. James 1:19 tells us, and this again, easier said than done, James. It tells us to be slow to anger. And that can be hard, especially when emotions take over. So what's going on when that happens? What's going on in your system? One of the most surprising symptoms of perimenopause isn't necessarily the hot flashes or the weight gain. It's the anger. The anger. I do remember having these issues a little bit as a teenager. So is this being the second, what do they call it? Second, now my hello, brain fog, right? I didn't write it down. Puberty, second puberty, that it gets all those things that happened in first puberty come back with a vengeance. Women who have spent decades being patient, accommodating, and emotionally steady can suddenly find themselves snapping over anything, feeling intensely irritated by noises and messes, interruptions, or experiencing what many describe as the rage that comes out of nowhere. So the good news is, doesn't mean we're becoming an angry person, just means our biological systems are messed up a little bit right now. They're just changing, okay? So what goes with this is the progesterone. So we know we've talked about estrogen and progesterone before. That's our progesterone is our calm. It's our peaceful hormone, and it starts to drop. So it's the first hormone usually to decline. And progesterone it's not just for reproduction. All of these things, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health. So it does have that calming effect on the brain, which is those GABA receptors. We talked about those with the L-theanine. L-theanine helps with GABA receptors. The same calming pathway is affected by anti-anxiety medication. So you could try L-theanine instead of anti-anxiety, or if your anti-anxiety isn't working as well, you could try L-theanine if your doctor says it's okay. So when progesterone is abundant, we feel patient, resilient, emotionally steady. We can handle all the weight on our shoulders, and we can just let things roll off. It's easy. But as it becomes less predictable, our brain is missing its natural buffer system. And again, progesterone, it is so all over the place in perimenopause. So what was fine last week and did not bother you is just too much this week. I have gotten with the kids when I can't handle what they're doing, I just give them the biggest hug I can. Because I don't want to hit them, and I don't want to be mean to them, and I don't want to scream at them, and so I just have this that I just need to get out. So I just give them a hug, as tight as they can handle, but just a hug, and just like, I love you, just don't like you right now. So, or I walk away. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Things that felt mildly annoying can suddenly be unbearable, and you just can't take it anymore. That I can think of times when the Wii remote has flown across the living room because I am not good anymore at Mario Kart. Used to be, not anymore. And so that Wii remote flies sometimes. I get mad. Um, Estrogen fluctuations also affect our mood regulation. So we know progesterone and estrogen together and help with all those things. So estrogen affects your serotonin, your dopamine, and your norepinephrine. Again, L-theanine can help with the first two of those. So they influence your mood, your motivation, your emotional regulation, and your frustration tolerance. So the challenge in perimenopause is that estrogen doesn't simply decline. So when you have regular cycles, the estrogen and so you can kind of predict that PMS, is going to set in. You just can't handle things as well. It's very unregulated. I track my symptoms. I track my stuff like high anxiety, stressed, lethargic, how I felt about my body. I track my things because my cycles are all over the place right now. Tracking helps. Doesn't fix, but it can help. And so when estrogen just swings wildly for no reason, 1 week it may be high, next week drop dramatically, and can create emotional vitality that feels unfamiliar and unsettling. So how our nervous system becomes more reactive. So we go into perimenopause carrying decades of stress. And our fascia tissue, the neck, the jaw, the back, the low back, all of that fascia tissue, that connective tissue carries all of that. And so that's when we start having back problems and neck problems, and we're clenching our jaws now and having all kinds of issues. So we've spent years raising children, building careers, caring for aging parents, managing households, and serving everyone else. Our nervous system's been running on high alert for years, and our hormones begin changing, and our body can't tolerate that anymore. Suddenly, noises are louder, interruptions are more intrusive, demands are heavier, emotional bandwidth feels so much smaller. So, what looks like anger is often just an overload of our nervous system. And then the cortisol, that last straw effect. Chronic stress elevates cortisol. Over time, high cortisol, poor sleep, the chapter we're in, right? Rest and sleep. Anxiety, inflammation in our joints and everything, insulin resistance, weight gain, and emotional reactivity. So this creates a classic perimenopause experience. Nothing major has happened. Our spouse simply asked one question. Someone left a dish where it didn't belong. The dog starts barking. Suddenly, you're furious. The dish wasn't the problem. The husband wasn't the problem. The dog wasn't the problem. It just was the topper to a bucket that's already full. You know when you're cleaning and you kind of get a pile going of things that don't belong, and you put one more thing on and the whole thing comes down, and then you have to clean up all of that? That is our emotional stress right now. So sleep deprivation makes everything worse. So it can reduce our emotional regulation, increase irritability, heighten our stress hormones, cortisol, belly fat, decrease our frustration tolerance. Many women aren't just hormonally challenged. We're hormonally challenged and sleep deprived. We ain't getting enough. And it's a powerful combination. So blood sugar then can swing full range, and it crashes, our energy dips, our cravings increase, irritable, and now we're eating our emotions instead of trying to take care of them. And so we skip meals because we feel fat, and then we don't have enough nourishment and enough food in our body to actually do what needs to be done. So again, when you're mad at the world, eat something. When you're mad at yourself, take a nap. Don't skip meals, because what your body uses, it takes that food and it immediately uses it for your nervous system and your brain. That energy immediately gets used for that. Then it uses it for your muscles and your energy output. Then it stores excess into fat. So we do need to eat. Don't undereat your protein. That really helps. And relying heavily on sugar and processed carbs doesn't help. It doesn't. Quick crashes, and then we're even more irritable. So your hangry phase becomes even more real, right? So, and sometimes the anger isn't new. You've had it your whole life. It just elevates. So, your hormones just can't regulate it as much. And so it seems like all of a sudden you're just angry all the time. So women have spent decades people pleasing, avoiding conflict, putting themselves last, tolerating situations that hurt them. Hormones shift. Emotional energy requires you to swallow those feelings, and you can't. And you're done. A lot more divorces happen in this age. Career changes. You just can't handle what your boss has been doing for 10 years. You can't handle it anymore. You're out. Anger emotion emerges, and not to be irrational, but it's information. It's always information your body's giving you. So what can it be revealing is unmet needs, physical, emotionally, spiritually. Unhealthy boundaries that you have let people just walk all over you all the time, and now it's time to set boundaries. So now you seem like the bad person, but you're really just taking care of your mental, spiritual, and emotional health. Chronic exhaustion. You're just tired of carrying everything all by yourself. I get enough sleep at night. My sleep is sacred. I get enough sleep, but I do feel exhausted a lot of times. Resentment. You resent your spouse, you resent your boss, you resent your kids, you resent your dog, you resent everybody. I have a friend who constantly, she loves her dogs. As one just passed away, which is really sad. But she talks all the time about how much she hates her dogs. She wishes they would die. She doesn't. But she just gets that. Dogs. And grief. You can't regulate, so you get mad at yourself. So you're grieving your former self. You wish you could talk to your parents and they're not there. You like, all these things just seem to get bigger. Even though they're the same as they were, they just seem to get bigger. So with this, it can be an awakening into what you really need. And the different perspective on perimenopause rage is, what if anger wasn't simply a symptom? What if it's a signal? What if you rethought that? What if it's a signal? And your body needs rest. Not just sleep. Not just sleep, but active recovery. A simple walk. Go outside and swing. Go to a playground and take up one of the swings and just swing. Skip. Skipping's fun. Just skip. Little reset in your body. And your nervous system needs safety. It needs to feel safe. And so you need to set boundaries that need to be strengthened and held to. Don't let somebody walk all over you. And your burdens have to become less heavy. You have to rely on others. Working on telling my kids, like, I need help to maintain this house. You all make the messes too. I am not here to be your maid. I have my other things going on. I can't. You're here more than I am. You make the mess more than I do. I need you to step up and do what you are taking care of. Take ownership. Often anger gets a bad reputation, but emotions are messengers. The goal isn't to shame the emotion, right? The goal is to understand what it's trying to tell us. Ephesians 4:26 talks about, in your anger, do not sin. Doesn't say we won't get angry. It just says, in your anger, don't sin. Don't lash out Mount Vesuvius over everybody. And if you feel like you're going to do that, you might need to step away. Anger itself isn't the problem. It's what we do with it. Perimenopause can be revealing places where we need healing, rest, boundaries. God's peace is most important and needed. It is needed. And sometimes the most compassionate response isn't asking what's wrong with me. It's asking, what is my body trying to tell me? For me, this past week, it's been that I've been eating too much processed food. My anxiety's been up. It's not good. I love you all. I hope this has given you some insight into that rage that nobody talks about, because we're there. We are in it. We are dealing with it. And I hope you all have a rage-free day today.